videos that clearly show what Ryan Adams is playing in this song, so I'm speculating a bit as to the actual fingerings. My suspicion is that his fingerings may be a little bit different from what I'm showing you in like which fingers he's actually using. But in terms of the notes being fretted, I'm not leading you astray here at all. These are the correct notes that are going on here. The way that I'm going to be making the chords, I'm making the C chord. Our chords are versions of C's, G's, D's, and also an E minor. And the way that I'm making the C chord is with two fingers, my second finger and my third finger. Second finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, relative to our capo, of course, and then my ring finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, relative to our capo. And that's the C chord. Occasionally there may be the major third added in. I can't hear it all the time. It may be there sometimes, it may not be there. And by major third, what I mean is taking your pointer finger and laying it down on the 4th string, 2nd fret. That is the major third of a C chord. Sometimes that may be there, sometimes it may not be there. So just kind of listen and play along with what it sounds like is happening to you. To get to the second chord of the verse, you move your second finger to the 6th string, 3rd fret. To get to the third chord of the verse, you're going to make a D formation. And the way that I do it, I don't know if this is exactly how Ryan Adams does, but I leave my ring planted where it's been the whole time. I take my first finger, bring it up to the 3rd string, and plant it on the 2nd fret relative to the capo. And then I wrap around the top of my guitar, and I fret the lowest 6th string on the 2nd fret with my thumb. So that you get, this is actually another third to the chord of D, but it's lowered. Okay? Those are the chords. The thing that is tricky about this verse is the rhythm. It's a kind of quirky rhythm that you need to understand 16th notes in order to articulate properly. The way that you would count this with 16th notes would be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E. So the thing that I want to point out to you about this is that the movements are happening on the of each count and also on the downbeat of the count. Let me slow this down and show you what I mean. So you've got 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and 3E and a 4E. And so after you hit the accent on the next count is the 1, or the downbeat of the next measure. And you hear Ryan Adams pluck down with the downbeat as well, so you get a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. And I know I'm taking a lot of time to explain this, but I want to try to drill that rhythm into your head because it's kind of important. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... You'll also hear that whenever Ryan Adams moves to the G chord, he'll strike the 1st and 2nd string, moving from the C into the G. He'll strike up on the 1st and 2nd string, and you'll hear those rings. So it'd be like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... While moving into the C, he doesn't hit these higher strings. He's just maybe hitting the 3rd string, 4th string, and 5th string. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... Also, just a bit of technique here. I don't think that Ryan Adams is being as articulate with his fingers like I am. He's just kind of strumming through it and is fluid enough to know exactly where he's strumming and making that sound naturally. I'm wanting to pinpoint precisely what is going on, so I'm using my fingers to make sure that I'm articulating it properly for you. So that's just a point about what I'm doing in my style versus Ryan Adams with his fluid style of just strumming with his fingers through it, knowing exactly where he's at in the order of strings here. The chords on the chorus are a C, an E minor, and an A. The C he is making with the major third in there. So you would plant your first finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, your 2nd finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, and your ring finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, where we had it earlier. The reason that I know that the major third is in there is that you can hear after 2 strikes on that chord on the album that he picks up his pointer finger and exposes that open 4th string to ring, and you get a sound that's like before moving into the E minor, which the E minor, I imagine that he would fret by just moving his 2nd finger down 1 fret to the 5th string, 2nd fret, and exposing the 6th string and everything else ringing open except for your ring finger that you have fretted on the 3rd fret. And then to a D chord, which is that D chord that I showed you earlier. And again, I suspect that Ryan Adams probably actually plays it with his 2nd finger on the 6th string, 2nd fret, like that. But that's just not a very intuitive movement for me, so I do it like this. You get... and that's the chorus. So the riff that we have going on in the chorus. First off, I don't know that I'm hearing this 100% correctly. I could be adding in some notes in my head or subtracting some notes in my head that are or aren't really there. I don't know that these are precisely the exact areas of the fretboard that it's being played on. There's no video. I'm speculating, but here's as best as I can hear what is going on. You're going to come up to for the first part of this riff, come up to the 4th string and the 2nd string with your 1st finger on the 5th fret relative to our capo, 5th fret relative to the capo on the 4th string, and then with your pinky finger on the 2nd string on the 8th fret relative to the capo, which of course is, we're talking about the 11th fret of the guitar. You can see my double dots right here with the 12th fret. So, to start this small riff, you will play the 4th string and the 2nd string where you have them fretted. I guess it would help if you could hear this. So 4th and 2nd string, and then you're going to move the 2nd string from its 8th relative fret to the 7th relative fret, and then open. And in between those notes, I'm coming back to the fretted 4th string for interplay. So 4, 2, 4, 2, 2 are the strings I'm playing. 4, 2, 4, 2, 2. And that's the first movement. The second movement of this riff, you're going to come and be playing on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. The 3rd string will be ringing open, and you're going to fret with, or I fret with, my 2nd finger and 3rd finger along the 5th frets of the 5th and 4th strings. So 2nd finger, 5th string, 5th fret, 3rd finger, 4th string, 5th fret. And you're going to pluck down 5, 4, 1, or 5, 4, 3 strings. So that's 5, 4, 3. Open 3. And then immediately after striking the open 3, you're going to pick up your ring finger, and behind it you should have planted down your pointer finger on the 4th string, 4th fret relative to the capo, and you'll strike that string next. So, and then back up to the 3rd string open, and then just pick it back down, 4 and 5. So again, I'm going 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. And then after it goes through that riff a couple times, at the end of it, it gets a bit of a different rhythm behind it, and you have this kind of staggering that happens between the fourth string and the third string. Fourth string, fourth fret, and third string open, where it's going, or that's kind of staggered a bit in the rhythm, and you can hear and listen to that and play along with it. What I'm hearing as the lead part that happens after the maybe second chorus in this song, I'm accomplishing it almost entirely on the third string of the guitar. And relative to our capo here, I'm beginning it on the relative 7th fret of the third string and sliding to the relative 9th fret, which of course is the real 12th fret. You can see there with my double dot. So starting on the relative 7, sliding to the relative 9th, or you could just straight pick it. And then I move from the relative 9th up to the 10, 11, 12, relative 12th. You can slide it or you can pick it. Then after that note, drop it down 1 fret to the relative 11th. After picking that note, I slide all the way down to the relative 2. Sorry. After sliding to that relative 2 on the third string, here's where a fourth string comes in. I hit the open fourth. Now what Ryan Adams does here is, I'm pretty sure he's got a whammy bar that he bends down on to get that effect that you hear. But Telecaster that I'm playing here, no whammy bar, so what I do to try to imitate that is I'll grab the back of the headstock and I'll press against the body and I'll push the neck towards the screen here, and I'll push the body towards my body to create that dipping sound that you hear. Obviously you don't want to do this terribly hard, but you want to do it hard enough to get that sound out of the strings. For instance, then after that you come back to the third string 2nd fret. You slide up to the third string 4th fret, come back up to the third string 7th fret, and then the last part of the riff involves a slight hammer-on where you will jump from the third string 4th fret back to the 7th fret and up to the 9th fret, and it sounds like. And that's the lead riff there.